Welcome to Niga MedGuide. Today we will discuss anatomy and physiology of large intestine. Large intestine is last part of the digestive system. Its length is about 1.5 meters and diameter is about 6.5 centimeter. That is much larger than the small intestine. Large intestine has divided into four parts that are cecum, colon, rectum and anal canal. Cecum is the first part of the large intestine and it is dilated region that receives content from the ileum, that is last part of the small intestine, at the ileocecal junction. Vermiform appendix, that is a fine tube of about 8 to 9 centimeter long, rich with lymphoid tissues, is attached to the cecum. It has no digestive functions but can cause significant problem when become inflamed, a condition known as appendicitis. Colon is further divided into four parts. Ascending colon is the first part and it goes upward in the right side of the abdominal cavity. At the level of the liver, ascending colon turns acutely towards the left side at the hepatic flexure to form the transverse colon. Transverse colon is the second part of the colon that runs horizontally through the abdominal cavity. At the level of the spleen, transverse colon forms the splenic flexure and curves downward to form the descending colon. Descending colon is the third part of the colon and it runs downward at the level of the iliac crest. It is known as sigmoid colon. Sigmoid colon is the last part of the colon. It is an S-shaped and going downward to form the rectum. Rectum is slightly dilated portion of the large intestine of about 13 centimeter long. It leads from the sigmoid colon and ends at the anal canal. Anal canal is a short passage of about 3.8 centimeter in an adult and it is guarded by two sphincters. Internal sphincter is formed by smooth muscle and is under control of autonomic nervous system. External sphincter is formed by voluntary muscle and is under voluntary control. Large intestine has same structural four layers like the rest of the GI tract with some exceptional features, and we will discuss these exceptional features only. These structural layers are mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa and adventitia or serosa. Starting from the mucosa, epithelium is made up of simple columnar with abundant goblet cell that secrete mucus. It has deep crypts for mucus secretion. There are no villi like the small intestine. Some mucosa consist of lymphatic tissues, nerves, blood vessel, but there are more lymphoid tissue than any other organ of the GI tract, so it provides huge defense against invading microbes. Muscularis externa consists of the same two layers like inner circular muscle fiber layer and outer longitudinal muscle fiber layer, but here the longitudinal muscle fiber layer is not continuous. In fact, they are condensed into the three bands of tissues known as tinea coli, and it runs lengthways along the cecum and colon and ends at the junction of sigmoid colon and rectum. As it is shorter than the whole colon length, so it pull on the colon. Because of its pulling action, it forms seculations known as hostra. The outermost layer is serosa or adventitia. Like the rest of the GI tract, it also covered by peritoneum. Blood supply to the large intestine. Superior mesenteric artery supply the cecum, ascending colon and most of the transverse colon. Inferior mesenteric arteries supply the remaining of the transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon and proximal part of the rectum. Middle and inferior rectal arteries, that are branches of internal iliac artery, supply the distal portion of the rectum and anus. Venous drainage is by superior and inferior mesenteric vein that drain into the portal vein, while venous drainage from the distal portion of the rectum and the anus is by internal iliac vein. Major physiological functions of large intestine are absorption. Large intestine is the main site for the absorption of water and electrolytes. It converts the liquid chyme into semi-solid feces. Mineral salts, vitamins, and some drugs are also absorbed here. Secretion. Goblet cells in the mucosal layer of the large intestine secrete mucus that lubricates the feces and protect the mucosa. Microbial activity. Large intestine is heavily colonized by millions of microorganisms that synthesize vitamin K and folic acids. They also provide colonization resistant against invading pathogen. They are usually harmless but can cause significant problem when they transfer to another part of the body. For example, E. coli can cause cystitis if it gains access to urinary bladder. Mass movement. Large intestine does not exhibit peristaltic movements like other of the GIT organs. After a long interval, strong peristaltic contraction sweeps across the transverse colon that forces the content of feces from transverse colon to the descending and sigmoid colon. This movement is known as mass movement and it is precipitated by entry of food into the stomach. So this combination of stimulus, that is entry of food into the stomach, and response, that is mass movement, is known as gastrocolic reflex. Next function is defecation, that is act of expelling the feces from the body via anus. Usually rectum is empty, but when mass movement forces the content of feces into the rectum, then nerve endings in its wall are stimulated by stretching. The internal anal sphincter involuntarily relax, but as external anal sphincter is our conscious control, it means brain can inhibit the reflex until it is convenient to defecate. If you found my video helpful, then kindly subscribe, like and share my channel.